Hey everyone, welcome back to the Finance Kita channel. Today we're diving into a super important topic that's crucial for anyone looking to ace their interviews in the finance and accounting world, especially for those eyeing a career in forensic accounting. I've already covered various technical interview topics in previous videos, so don't forget to check those out as well. You can increase the playback speed if you're short on time, and I recommend watching this video at least 2 or 3 times before your interview. And hey, if you find this helpful, make sure to share it with your friends and colleagues. All right, let's jump right into it. First up, what is forensic accounting? Forensic accounting is a specialized field that combines accounting, auditing, and investigative skills to analyze financial information for use in legal proceedings. Unlike regular auditing, which focuses on assessing the accuracy of financial statements, forensic accounting digs deeper to uncover fraud, embezzlement, and other financial discrepancies. The key difference here is the purpose. Regular audits aim to provide assurance on financial statements, while forensic audits are more about investigating and proving or disproving financial misconduct. Now let's move on to the key steps involved in a forensic audit. When you're conducting a forensic audit, the first step is to define the scope of the investigation. This means understanding what you're looking for and why. Next, you gather relevant documentation and data, which can include financial records, emails, and other communications. Then you analyze the data using various techniques, looking for patterns or anomalies that could indicate fraud. After that, you'll need to document your findings meticulously, as this will be crucial for any legal proceedings. Finally, you present your findings to the relevant stakeholders, which might include management or legal teams. Speaking of objectives, what are the primary objectives of conducting a forensic audit? The main objectives are to detect and prevent fraud, assess the effectiveness of internal controls, and provide evidence for legal proceedings if necessary. Forensic audits can also help organizations recover losses and improve their financial practices moving forward. So, how do you detect financial fraud in an organization? Detecting financial fraud often involves a combination of data analysis and intuition. You'll want to look for inconsistencies in financial statements, unusual transactions, and discrepancies between reported figures and actual cash flow. Sometimes it's about noticing patterns that don't quite add up or anomalies in spending that raise red flags. That brings us to the red flags you should look for when investigating potential financial misconduct. Common red flags include significant discrepancies in financial records, frequent changes in accounting personnel, and a lack of transparency in financial reporting. If you notice unusual behavior, like employees who are overly defensive about their work or reluctant to share information, that can also be a sign that something is amiss. Now let's talk about internal controls. How would you assess their effectiveness in preventing fraud? To assess internal controls, you need to evaluate the design and implementation of those controls. Are they comprehensive? Are employees trained on them? You can conduct interviews, review documentation, and even perform walkthroughs of the processes to see if the controls are being followed correctly. If there are gaps, that's where fraud can slip through. Imagine you're in a situation where you discovered fraudulent activity during an audit. How would you handle it? If you discover fraud, it's essential to remain calm and collected. First, document everything meticulously. Gather evidence and ensure you have a clear understanding of what occurred. Then, you'll need to report your findings to the appropriate authorities within the organization, such as senior management or the audit committee. It's crucial to handle this delicately, as it can have serious implications for everyone involved. Now, what if you suspect financial misreporting but lack evidence? How would you proceed with your investigation? In such cases, you would want to gather more data and conduct a deeper analysis. This might involve looking at transaction logs, interviewing employees, or even benchmarking against industry standards. The key here is to remain thorough and patient. Sometimes evidence takes time to uncover. Let's switch gears a bit. How do you handle conflicts of interest during a forensic audit? Handling conflicts of interest requires transparency and integrity. If you identify a conflict, it's vital to disclose it to the relevant parties and, if necessary, recuse yourself from the audit. Maintaining objectivity is crucial in forensic accounting, as your findings need to be credible and unbiased. Now, let's talk about the tools and software you use for data analysis in forensic auditing. There are several tools available, such as Excel for basic data analysis, and more advanced software like IDEA or ACL for data analytics. These tools can help you spot trends, anomalies, and patterns in large data sets, making it easier to identify potential fraud. Can you explain the difference between cash fraud, financial statement fraud, and corruption? Absolutely. Cash fraud typically involves the theft of cash or cash equivalents, like skimming or lapping. Financial statement fraud, on the other hand, involves manipulating financial statements to present a false picture of the company's financial health. Corruption usually refers to dishonest behavior by individuals in positions of power, often involving bribery or kickbacks. Each type of fraud has its own indicators and requires different investigative approaches. Next up, how do you conduct a digital forensic investigation to uncover electronic evidence? Digital forensic investigations involve collecting, preserving, and analyzing electronic data from devices like computers, smartphones, and servers. You'll want to ensure that the data is collected in a way that maintains its integrity, often using specialized software to create a forensic image of the device. Once you have the data, you can analyze it for relevant information, such as emails, transaction records, or other communications that might indicate wrongdoing. Now, how familiar are you with laws and regulations related to financial fraud, like the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, PMLA, or the Companies Act? Being familiar with relevant laws and regulations is vital for a forensic auditor. You should have a solid understanding of the PMLA, which aims to prevent money laundering, and the Companies Act, which governs corporate behavior in many jurisdictions. This knowledge helps you ensure that your investigations are compliant and that your findings can stand up in legal proceedings. Speaking of legal proceedings, what is the role of a forensic auditor in such situations? In legal proceedings, a forensic auditor serves as an expert witness, providing testimony based on their findings. They help clarify complex financial issues for the court and can provide critical evidence to support or refute claims made by either party. Their role is to present the facts in a clear and understandable manner. Let's discuss objectivity and independence during a forensic audit. How do you maintain these qualities? Maintaining objectivity and independence is essential in forensic audits. This can be achieved by avoiding relationships that could compromise your impartiality, being transparent about any potential conflicts of interest, and adhering to professional ethical standards. It's all about keeping your focus on the facts and the evidence rather than personal biases. Now, how do you use forensic techniques to trace financial transactions and assets? Tracing financial transactions often involves following the money trail through various accounts and records. You'll want to analyze bank statements, transaction logs, and accounting records to identify patterns or discrepancies. Techniques like data mining and link analysis can be incredibly helpful here, allowing you to visualize connections between different transactions and accounts. If you suspect embezzlement, how would you investigate it? Investigating embezzlement requires a careful approach. Start by gathering relevant documentation, like financial statements and transaction records. Look for unusual transactions, such as unauthorized transfers or discrepancies in accounting records. Interviews with employees can also provide valuable insights. Remember to document everything meticulously, as this will be crucial for any potential legal action. When it comes to identifying discrepancies in financial statements or bank records, how do you go about it? Identifying discrepancies often involves a detailed comparison of records. You'll want to look for inconsistencies between different financial documents, such as bank statements and the company's accounting records. Techniques like variance analysis can help you spot unusual fluctuations or trends that warrant further investigation. How do you present your findings to non-financial stakeholders, like senior management or legal teams? When presenting your findings, it's essential to communicate clearly and concisely. Use visuals like charts and graphs to illustrate key points, and avoid jargon that might confuse your audience. Focus on the implications of your findings and what actions need to be taken moving forward. Remember, Your goal is to make the information accessible and actionable. Now let's talk about the challenges you might face while writing forensic audit reports. How did you overcome them? One common challenge is ensuring that the report is clear and comprehensive without being overly technical. To overcome this, focus on structuring your report logically, using headings and bullet points for clarity. It's also helpful to have someone else review your report to ensure that it's understandable to those who may not have a financial background. Can you explain the importance of documentation in a forensic audit? Documentation is crucial in forensic audits as it serves as the foundation for your findings. It provides a clear record of the evidence you've collected, the analysis you've conducted, and the conclusions you've drawn. Proper documentation is also essential for legal proceedings as it can be used to support your findings in court. When conducting a forensic audit, what methodologies do you follow? Some common methodologies include Benford's Law, which helps detect anomalies in financial data, and data analytics techniques that allow you to analyze large data sets for patterns. You might also use sampling techniques to focus on high-risk areas, ensuring that your audit is both thorough and efficient. How do you investigate related party transactions or complex financial instruments? Investigating related party transactions requires a keen eye for detail. You'll want to examine the terms of the transactions, the parties involved, and any potential conflicts of interest. For complex financial instruments, it's essential to understand the underlying mechanisms and risks involved. This often requires a thorough review of contracts, agreements, and financial statements. What's your approach to gathering and preserving evidence in a forensic investigation? Gathering and preserving evidence is all about maintaining integrity. Use proper chain of custody procedures to ensure that evidence is collected and stored correctly. This might involve using specialized software to create forensic images of digital evidence or ensuring that physical documents are stored securely. Always document the process to maintain transparency. Forensic auditing can vary significantly across different industries. How does it differ in banking, manufacturing, or services? In banking, forensic audits often focus on compliance with regulations and detecting money laundering. In manufacturing, you might investigate issues like inventory fraud or misappropriation of assets. In service industries, the focus could be on billing fraud or misuse of client funds. Each industry has its unique challenges and risks, so it's essential to tailor your approach accordingly. What are some common fraud schemes you've encountered in different industries? Common fraud schemes include billing schemes, payroll fraud, expense reimbursement fraud, and asset misappropriation. Each industry may have its specific variations, but these schemes often share similar characteristics, making them recognizable across different contexts. How do you handle pressure when dealing with tight deadlines during an investigation? Handling pressure during tight deadlines requires good time management and prioritization. Break down the investigation into manageable tasks and set clear deadlines for each. It's also important to communicate regularly with your team and stakeholders to ensure everyone is aligned and aware of progress. How do you ensure confidentiality during a forensic audit investigation? Confidentiality is paramount in forensic audits. Ensure that all documentation is stored securely and limit access to sensitive information. Use non-disclosure agreements where necessary and communicate with stakeholders about the importance of maintaining confidentiality throughout the process. Finally, describe a challenging forensic audit you worked on and how you resolved it. One challenging audit I worked on involved a large organization with complex financial transactions. The sheer volume of data made it difficult to pinpoint anomalies. To resolve this, I implemented a data analytics approach, using software to identify patterns and trends. By breaking down the data into smaller segments, I was able to uncover discrepancies that led to the discovery of fraudulent activity. It was a great reminder of the power of technology in forensic auditing. And there you have it. Those are some key interview questions and answers related to forensic accounting and audits. I hope you found this video informative and helpful for your upcoming interviews. Don't forget to check out our other technical interview videos on the channel, and remember to like, share, and subscribe for more finance knowledge. Good luck with your interviews, and until next time, keep learning and growing in the world of finance.